Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the LCS. I can't wait for even more games with the one and only Azael. The Doug duo is back, ready to cast another game. Dignitas QNTMPAY versus FlyQuest. I am excited here. Both these teams won yesterday. Dignitas, a huge comeback win over EG. FlyQuest just seemed to outclass their opponents.
Yeah, I mean, they slammed him. A lot of people were pointing to the draft, but I think it's somewhat doing them a bit of a disservice, right? Yes, they got some really strong champions. Yes, they got the Gwen. They're the only people of the day. But the champions do not pilot themselves. We have seen so many examples, not only this year, but every year of teams with winning drafts, losing games. So I do think they are deserving of that credit, and we'll see which team can continue those winning ways here. FlyQuest obviously starting a lot further down in the standings than Dignitas is, and looking to try to make good on some of what were fairly high expectations coming into spring, right? You know, people were thinking, hey, this is a team that is going to really build up pretty quickly. This is a team with a lot of people that had high expectations for them, right?
Yep.
We're looking at these guys coming up from C9 Academy that now joined the FlyQuest roster. People were expecting, I think, a higher level from them in spring, and also for a more consistent kind of high-level showing from Licorice, right?
Exactly.
And he spoke in interviews about how this is a huge change for him, right? He had always played on a top team, and now he's playing on more of a development roster and has to kind of adjust. So I'm going to be interested, especially with Dreams now coming in, to see, have they made some of those adjustments? Can they start, really making good on what were some of the expectations people had?
Exactly, and if they can kind of hit that stride and really improve, or it's Dreams, first time in the LCS, was a Diodo at the beginning of the year, first time, right, for him, same for Palafox. It's like, yeah, there is some growth to go, and it's going to look different when, your jungler isn't MVP Blabber, MVP Svenskeren. Like, turns out top lane's different when you don't have the best jungler in the league, making it a lot easier to play top lane. Like, that, yes, that is growing pains sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, something I talked about yesterday, and this is something that I think not everyone recognizes as much, is even if you're winning your lane, it's really hard to split push if your team is losing the rest of the map, because you just don't have vision. And when you're playing at a professional level, you need to at least have some knowledge of, even if it's not where they are, it's where they aren't, right? So you can infer where they could be on the map. And if your team is losing, you lose vision on the map. You get choked out so quickly at the professional level. Yeah. So even in a lot of games where Licorice would be doing fine in this lane, they have no vision. He can't push forward. You can't create advantages and really snowball the game. So it very much is a team effort, and that goes for, of course, all the positions. But he did show a great performance on the Gwen yesterday, and I'm going to be excited to see if he can continue to bring out some of these new champions, because he has been a very flexible player over the years. When he first came in, it was kind of like he could only play carries, and then it became a tank meta, and people were very critical of his play on tanks. Yeah. He learned that.
And then he stole Baron at Worlds on Orange.
Oh, there you go, the bonk. So I think he has had a really good kind of career arc, and I want to see him continue that development.
Absolutely, and this is I'm only half serious here, because I know everyone else thinks that Gwen is giga busted. That's why she's banned every game. But like, what if Licorice has performances like that on every champion? And it's not that he made, he made Gwen look busted, but he's just that good at all times. That'd be exciting though, right?
Congratulations to the summer MVP.
Yeah, but wouldn't that be sick, right? Because he has been, right? He has been head and shoulders the best top laner in the league before.
Yep.
And his entire career has been like Someday and Impact and like former world champions and finalists, on the roster. And it's like, yeah, but I'm still better than them, right? And then finally, okay, he didn't look as good on FlyQuest, because, yeah, it's a bunch of people's, first time in the LCS. Like, if he gets back there fast, I'm excited, right? Because if he's playing as the best top in the league again, okay, FlyQuest are real scary, right? And, like, that's
Absolutely.
just the road. And on Dignitas, right, like, Afro was MVP when he was back at 100 Thieves, and then, he's gone, and they just like fell off a cliff for a while, right? And now it's like, hey, we're on Dignitas, and no, us being top 5 and top 4 regular season, that was not a fluke. We are still this good. Our team fighting is still absurd. Like, they kept the roster together, and they're looking good still.
And I mean, this is a team where if they could have good laning phases, they would be a championship threat, right? And it's easier said than done to just be like, just be good at early game, like just farm more and don't die. It's simple, right?
Simple.
Just play some Valorant and click on their heads, idiot. It's simple. But it is one of those things where it's like, damn, if their soul laners can continue to improve, I do think Fake God and Soligo have gotten a lot better compared, this year compared to when they were in the LCS before. If they can continue that development and get to the level where it's like, not only can they team fight well, but they're actually winning their lanes. If they're winning their lanes consistently, all of a sudden the job for the jungler gets so much easier, and you're team fighting then from an advantage instead of a disadvantage. Like we've seen, you said yesterday in their win, man, they're just winning fights from 5K down so consistently this year, and that's how they got so many of their wins in spring. But man, it's so much easier to win when you're 5K ahead instead of when you're 5K down. You don't need to work so hard.
But you know, they hyperbolic time chambered their practice by playing on the LCS stage from gold deficits. Yes, I do want to see what happens when this team gets their laning phase under control a bit more, right? When and it's not just like, oh, everyone's got like -10 CSD. It's like the early macro also often falls apart, right? Their level 1 against EG was them losing 2 kills.
Yeah.
Like, that's not laning. That's like y'all joined into a fight and you maybe shouldn't have, right? And hey, they still fought it back. Hey, good job. But, you know, then it turned into, you know, Jizuke getting like 9 turret plates by himself. And it's like, okay, yeah, things are going wrong here that need to be sorted out. But man, yes, if they get there, holy crap, I am excited for what the ceiling of the Dignitas is if they can get there.
Yeah, because, you know, as you said, they've proven they're a top 4, top 5 team, right? And to go from that to championship contender, you can't have these glaring weaknesses, because when they played in the playoffs against, you know, some of the best teams, and this has been something that we've seen from a lot of teams over the years in the playoffs, when you have this big error or big issue with your team, you go into playoffs, people prepare specifically for you, they craft strategies specifically to exploit that, and Dignitas just didn't really get to see the day of light when it came to playoffs. You know, they got behind early, they weren't really able to claw their way back in the games, and in playoffs, it was a pretty disappointing run for them, you know, 3 and out. So this is a situation that they're looking to improve upon that, and that is something they're really going to be focused, I think, on working on throughout summer.
Yeah, and showing up. I mean, we saw Dardoch on screen a moment ago. Like, he was the physical manifestation of tilt. It felt like in Game 3. Like, he was sprinting it at that Game 3. It's like, yeah, okay, they were done, whatever. But, like, that is also a thing that, like, you know, he will have to grow. And, like, this, I mean, he's had a very long career, and he's been on a team for, like, on average at most a year. And, like, occasionally he's been on a team for 18 months, but, like, the man has bounced around so much because, like, he has not been able to find a home where, like, everyone's worked well together.
Yeah.
And I remember, you know, with Echo Fox, Rick Fox, like, you know, look, he's a hot, but like, I've worked with players like that before, man. Like, he wants it, we can get him there. And then he's off Echo Fox, right? And it's like, even when at the highest levels, like, but I believe I can make it work. Like, this one, it feels different. It does a little bit, and I hope this, you know, remains true, that it works out. But this is a team that, you know, again, everyone rounds out. This team goes far.
I mean, I haven't heard so much as a whisper about issues with attitude problems with him on Dignitas, so I think that's great. And I mean, it does speak to his individual talent that when you can have issues and get booted off teams, they still want you back, right? Because everyone's like, ooh, but Dardoch, though. Like, you know, he is good. He
I
is
just need him and Solo on the same team. And just like the redemption squad. Like, I don't know who else we bring in for that one, but
it's first or it's last.
Yeah. They'll just like win the LCS without dropping a game. You know, that's the kind of thing we're going to watch for. Yeah, let's go back to FlyQuest, because we've talked about Dignitas a lot. Again, I have high hopes for Dig. Cool, we've mentioned that one a lot. For FlyQuest, it's growth. And I'm glad they brought in Dreams. I think Dreams is solid. Had a solid 2 years or so in the LEC. And I think, you know, he's an upgrade. He looked good. I like him so far on the team. And I mean, you look at those players, it's like, yeah, okay, sure. Palafox is a rookie. Okay, sure. Like, let's see how fast he gets there. You know, when does he get, you know, to, you know, a top 5, top 6 level, whatever. But Licorice is formerly MVP candidate, right? Like, Dream's looking great. Johnson in his like 2nd or 3rd year, outstanding, right? Like, he's ready to go. Like, he's gonna keep going up. That man's looking great. Jose Diodo, honestly, a bit of a slow start, but like, he didn't even get to play the entire time, right? Like, NXI played the first couple of weeks, like with Lock and whatnot. Like, he hasn't even gotten the full year with the team. Like, these are all players that, like, look, FlyQuest are at the beginning of that growth forward. Like, they will eventually, you know, do what their moniker says and showcase greatness, and you know, slowly but surely they are moving on the way up. Absolutely,
and I'm excited to see the development of Palafox, right? It's someone that people are really excited about in Academy. Obviously, C9 Academy has had a lot of great players come up and really shine in the LCS, and he is one of them. And he didn't get the kind of success I think that he was hoping to get right out the gates. You know, coming in, there's obviously so many top mid laners and so many imported mid laners. I mean, really, and this is not just an NA thing. When you look to leagues around the world, when you look to the LPL, they've traditionally had a ton of imported solo laners. When you look to even like the LJL this year, guess what? Lots of Korean imports.
Arya shows up and they're actually good.
And solo laners are often where you're targeting there. So, you know, as a resident, as an NA mid laner, you have really tough competition because you're not just competing with the best North American mid laners, you're competing with some of the best European mid laners and, you know, sometimes Korean mid laners and people that are getting imported and brought in. It's like, you know, Perks, the most successful Western player of all time. You've got Jensen. We just watched Power of Evil playing against SKT at Worlds. Guess what? You got to play against him too. Like, there's a lot of people with historic careers here that he is having to face off against. And that does require you to get to that next level, right? It's a higher level of competition than it is in Academy, and a lot of Academy players will tell you that you get punished for mistakes on the LCS stage that you do not get punished for in Academy.
Yeah.
And that's something that, we have heard from a lot of these guys, like Diamond, who was, their support last split, had talked about that in some interviews. The idea that they got away with things in Academy that they didn't realize they were getting away with, right?
Like, the matchup shouldn't work this way. Like, we shouldn't be allowed to walk up on this one, but the Thresh shouldn't realize he can just always reflex flay. It's like, we don't have control of this matchup anymore. We can't play this matchup anymore, right? Sorry, like, we don't have bot pressure anymore.
Exactly. It's like you don't know until you know, and this is something that I think is pretty universally true about pro gaming and sports in general, is that it's like you need people that are good enough to show you the mistakes you are making, right? Yeah. If you can't punish the mistake, you don't know that you're even making it, then all of a sudden you're facing off against someone that is at a higher level, and these things that you thought always worked in a specific matchup all of a sudden don't work anymore. And you're losing the matchup, and you're getting solo killed, and you're getting, dove, and all these things that are happening that weren't before. So it takes time to adjust to that. It takes time to hopefully overcome and adapt and improve, and we'll see if he can continue to do that.
Well, here we go. 12-7 for Dignitas. A win ties them for second most wins in the league. Dignitas still coming through the summer split looking good, and based on the record, I think they're favored here against FlyQuest, but FlyQuest walked away with a win as well. Gwen is indeed banned. FlyQuest saying, y'all might first pick that for Fate God. We'd love it on Licorice, but okay, it's getting the ban table.
So Udyr's banned. It does kind of seem like you're trying to almost bait the Rumble and then go for something like Lee Sin and Tristana maybe yourself. Go for some really powerful picks like that. Viego is available, and we did see Jose Dioto play it yesterday. It's also obviously a three-way flex potentially, but mostly preferred to be played mid these days from what I have been seeing. We saw a lot of tank Viego yesterday, or this kind of pseudo-tank, I would say.
Right, yeah.
Shield bow into Randuin's, that sort of style. The Lee Sin does come through, so that's pretty expected. Varus, another really high-priority champion if you want to go for bot lane dominance. I do think it makes sense here with Johnson. And I would just caution that if you're going to go poke Varus, you need some sort of consistent damage coming out of your mid lane, because Lee Sin is more bursty, Varus is more bursty. You're going to need likely a control mage or something along those lines if you don't want to go to a double marksman comp.
Yeah, and even then you're like, well, but if they just all buy Randuin's Omens, we don't kill anyone, and now that sucks. Our persistent damage is cut by half because of all the armor they've stacked up. So, yeah, it may fall to Palafox. Of course, we'll see. Lee Sin top lane, of course, can find interesting things to do as well. There we go. The Ezreal is in. Yes, indeed. We're seeing a ton of Senna bans overall. That champion is pretty much constantly gone. From what I've seen of Pro, they're still going for Kraken Slayer, but Divine Sunderer Senna, outstanding as well. Strong pick. We get Set in here as well.
Okay.
A flex, top, mid, and support. Would not put him jungle, honestly, that much, but going to be a solid pick regardless.
Yeah, I do think it makes a lot of sense to be going with that. Can help to brawl really early. I tend to like Set mid a fair bit. I don't really love it into Thresh. I do think it can be difficult to actually deal with Flay, to actually stick onto them. Not only the Flay creating separation, but the slow thereafter. Like, you want to be up on top of this person who wants to be brawling with you. I like it a lot more into the Nautiluses and the Leonas and things that kind of have to be melee range of you. So we'll see if it does go down there to Aphromu, but it feels maybe more like it's going to be heading over to Soligo. Second round bans coming through, trying to target some of these answers to Lee Sin in the top lane. Nocturne top can be a really strong answer to the Lee Sin. Very difficult for Lee Sin to actually do more than just push. You can't really all in when the Fear is available, as well as the spell shield. So that can be a good matchup to target. And if you're worried about Fake on his Jace, that's one of his most preferred champions. It's also a good lane into the Lee Sin. So I wouldn't mind seeing FlyQuest target that either.
Yes. Well, let's see. Right now, Victor was gone. You mentioned high DPS mages. My brain just said Victor. Yep, that Victor's like the default just damage mage people play in mid. People finally hopped off Azir after the most recent nerfs from a while back. People have finally dropped them off the table, even though the buffs came in recently. They don't care. Orianna just disappearing right now for the metagame as well. So Victor has been the lead magic damage champion. There's Viego off, and we get one final ban. Of course, FlyQuest probably going to wait on mid for a while. It means they have to kind of lock in the Lee Sin to one of those lanes. They don't know who's top lane or mid lane just yet.
Yeah, not going to be certain, but it has been mostly played top. Really, there was only a few mid lane Lee Sin games at MSI, and it was largely from the OPL LCO, representatives. So banning out some AP here, expecting it to be potentially double physical lane.
Play it. Yes, Xin Zhao is outstanding. Now, they are so physical heavy. They really, really need magic damage out of Palafox because these champs can build tank. And Rise is solid. But Xin Zhao is outstanding. So much like Lee Sin and a lot of other champions, not a really, really fast clear. It's not quite like Warwick and Lee Sin tier. Like W's pretty good, but you're not doing 3-15, 6 camps.
Yeah.
Almost ever, right? So you got to skip something, but your gank pressure is great. If the W lands, you've got an 1100 range dash with a knockup attached afterwards. Like that's going to be a successful gank.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you're also just thinking about the brawling. Who is going to challenge Lee Sin plus Xin Zhao as far as an early 2v2? It ain't Rumble, I'll tell you that much. So that can be something that they could look to try to exploit, to try to play through top, maybe go for those Rift Heralds. That's kind of what people were expecting when they saw the Jose Diodo and Licorice combo, was this was going to be the duo that you really had to watch out for. So pretty interesting stuff. It will be the Jace likely that you have to actually lane against here, though, for Lee Sin. So that was one of the matchups that I was thinking FlyQuest might have wanted to ban out. They opted for the Viego instead, but this is a tough laning phase for Licorice. That does mean it will be set mid. Of course, Leona is going to be going bot, Rumble in the jungle, and we're really looking for AP. I just don't think you can afford to go full physical here with the ability to go early Zonias for the Rumble. Ezreal's even building Frozen Heart these days. Set plus Leona. The Sylas is something, but the Sylas to me still doesn't force a lot of MR, right? You know, for the tanky characters, when I'm playing against a Sylas, like I know as Set, Sylas cannot go on me in the team fight and win the team fight in any reasonable circumstance. So I am just saying, you know what? I don't need MR. All I need is health. I'm still going to go Randuin's. I'm still going to go Deadman's, you know, that type of build. So I do have concerns for FlyQuest if they don't get massively ahead with this sort of style of composition. Yep. One wrinkle to that is you can steal the Equalizer, which is significant magic damage. So that could help to alleviate some of their issues. But still, when you're looking at Lee Sin, you're looking at Xin, we're expecting it to be Poke Varus. That is the meta. If that is the case, you're very physical damage heavy. You are low on DPS to deal with these frontliners. Therefore, you pretty much got to snowball the game.
Yeah, but hey, you picked Xin Zhao. Like, if there's a champion to snowball the game, and Varus also, I think, is fairly early game focused. Good luck really pressing Leona Ezreal. I mean, Leona's going to play back, and Ezreal's Ezreal, so good luck with that one. But that should have some level of pressure. It means that you're going to have bot pressure, which means Thresh can move around, which means Dreams can go do stuff, and you can leave Varus alone for a little bit of time. Not the best under turret alone as Varus. You're going to get dove, but you have some time to move. You've got a Xin Zhao. Like, that is enough to go, you know, kick the ass of some mid laner.
And it could be even just the call is, hey, okay, Licorice, you're going to be the playmaker later on. Survive top lane. We will focus bot. You will push it in. Sure, you can't maybe kill the Ezreal, but then you take dragons. You snowball. You look to pressure towards Soul. Force your opponents to come to you, fight you before they are ready, before they have all these items stacked up, and really are getting efficient with the additional armor here. But this is going to be an exciting one.
Yes, it is. We are on to the Rift. Dignitas 12-7 with a win. They are at second place in wins. Ooh. They really have been outstanding so far in 2021. FlyQuest got the new logo. They're rapid renewable energy this time around. Every kill, every ocean drake, every tower, those all add up as they'll donate every week. The proceeds, LCS and Academy together. And we get a late invade. Oh, I guess a medium-timed invade. FlyQuest gonna walk in, sweep her on, get some money. And Jose Diodo, I think, leeches the XP as well. But as long as it's across 4, a Soul Laner will level up off 6 minions, I believe, is the track. So there we go.
Wow, Mother Earth wants FlyQuest to win.
Thank you, Mother Earth.
The planet cheering for you.
Yes, that's good.
All right, well, really excited to see how Jose Diodo does do. Beautiful Kaisala's game through.
Great.
Actually, very
Most
true.
games
I agree.
Kaisala is now, actually. She's banned enough.
Yeah, but there's the more the better. I've seen too much Kaisa. I like the mix up here. Jose Diodo has been giving it to us. Viego yesterday, Xin Zhao today. It's pretty exciting stuff, and I hope that he can, you know, showcase a good performance on this because I really do like seeing the jungle meta shook up a little bit. You know, I want to see things like the Fiddle. I want to see things like the Xin, things that are actually really successful and popular in solo queue right now. Transition to pro play.
Well, first Q lands means you have to take it, so they're brawling back and forth. Licorice likes his fight against Fake God, and turns out Fake God is like, you know what, you landed the Q. That was rough. But now he's like, well, I've got a turret, so you can't follow me anymore. Puts the autos back in. But hey, Dorn's shield is all about regen, and the potion already burned out of Fake God.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of Lee Sins in this type of matchup will actually just take a very defensive route and start even like Safeguard first, or they'll go E and just say, I'm just going to focus on last hitting and wave clear. So Maybe caught a little bit off guard there by Licorice. Starting Q is the option you want to go for in a ranged matchup if you're looking to get aggressive, and Licorice definitely was.
It was. So now we look at the level 2 spike that we know is coming in the bottom lane. Dreams gets to save a stack for good measure. And indeed, Neo's just last hitting with Q as best he can. I don't even think he dropped CS right now. He's got everything to farm still, so it's not going to hurt too badly. See how the farm on a turret goes, but yeah, not going to be a huge risk there. We'll drop a little bit, but it's not the end of the world. 2 melee's gone. All right, that is 42 gold denied. That's the kind of small advantage you get by playing the lane appropriately, getting the wave to hit the turret a little bit and zone them off.
And you kind of get this slow push going where they're not just hard shoving, they're stacking it up, and then they're trying to make it so you have a lot of minions to actually deal with here. And if Afro steps up to farm, they want to be able to punish him, right? Hit him with a flay, hit him with a hook, be able to land the damage on him, so Afro couldn't step up to use the relic shield charges just yet. They are, as a result, starting to really bleed a lot of this farm. I mean, there's still a couple extra minions for him to grab, but he's down 11 CS already.
Is he allowed to get cannon? Even? Okay, dematerialize. Okay, he's cheating. He got the cannon. He did it. Wow, that was a tough one. Good job, Afro.
That's tough, man. You gotta know what to give up, and this is something that a lot of pro players are very good at actually learning these matchups and just recognizing, okay, in some of these certain situations, you have to give up multiple waves, you have to give up multiple minions. They're looking for Licorice top here. Soligo is behind him, so this will be a 3-man play here. Gonna be tough to outplay.
Soligo is walking up. Here we go, 3v1. There's a stun. Fake God has aggro, slams into the skies, doesn't even have to flash. It's effortless, but watch out because Palafox is here. Palafox cannot find Fake God. The flash gets him away. He's going to stay alive. A clean dive. Dignitas off to a great start.
That was really nicely done. Soligo got the push mid lane, roamed straight up to the top side, and notice how he did the full wraparound. There's not even a chance to actually escape. Dardock's coming from the front here with Fake God. Soligo's already behind you, so you can't even look to actually retreat. And I think that Licorice was given a little bit of kind of a false sense of safety because he went and he warded try. He saw Dardock coming in. He's like, you can't dive me with just Rumble plus Jace. Like, that's not going to happen. I'm going to be able to stay safe here.
Yep.
But once Soligo was there too, nothing he could really do. Great early dive. You get the quick reset there from Fake God as well. He's got the tier, and Elysium will have to head out towards mid lane as Palafox used his TP to go top, so he's going to be covering there, and they'll likely just reset the waves and then look to swap back.
Yeah, I'm curious when it does switch over, because obviously you'll almost always lose some golden XP on the transition, so unless you think the matchups are unplayable, you just lose out guaranteed something when you make that swap, so you don't always have to. We'll see if it does happen. We got the mid lane pushed away. Lee Sin walks up, then okay, yep, Licorice right now is just staying. Xin Zhao on the farm, keeping up with Rumble, but keep in mind Rumble got a gank off, so obviously Dardock getting more done right now. Jose Diodo 5 minutes in, finishes camp number 8, and now we've got Rumble maybe walking towards mid. Soligo, he's going to be in range soon. Licorice flashes. He didn't have a ward to jump to. Trinket's on cooldown and didn't want to get stunned into killed.
Yeah, he was worried about the potential E-flash or just getting grabbed in there by Soligo. So Licorice getting targeted pretty heavily here. They are pushing this one in. Jose Diodo, do they want to go for the dive?
It's flashless. Like, you just start hitting him with the buttons. He's going to dash around. He's going to go to the sky. So the Diodo has a flash away from turret aggro because Soligo's TPing on time, and Licorice misses the Q. Has a slow, but he's stunned up. He's losing a lot of health right now. Has a teammate to jump to go. Going to stay alive. W poke not going to land. Not going to find that slow. Maybe could have turned it around, but as now both strong from the top side, everyone's running away.
That was a really quick TP from Soligo. That was critical. They don't have 3 members there, so you can't just insta-kill him. You only have the 2, and Jace is able to use the knockback in Hammer form to actually buy him some time to create a little bit of space. The very early TP from Soligo means they can't stay around any longer, and the dive does fail. So FlyQuest trying to get a bit of a counterpunch themselves here does not end up working out, and that was a fair bit of time spent from Jose Diodo, who is now falling behind in farm. In this jungle matchup, Fake God's going to be able to push in, and Licorice won't be able to do anything about this low HP Jace, so it's just collecting the farm and accepting the deficit that they've already accrued.
Look at the game right now, almost 1,000 gold puts Dignitas in a great start. Obviously, there's much more game to play. We have not yet seen the dragon stacking. We know FlyQuest winning the bottom lane, 12 CS right now with looks like they're both joining the lane at the exact same time. Jose Diodo going to knock down bottom scuttle, no problem. Again, yeah, he's going to be about a camp and a half, 2 camps behind the Rumble. Not sure exactly how much CS Dardock poached from lanes as he helped out, but certainly, again, more getting done there on Dardock's side. But with the bot pressure, they're starting on the first Drake. Mountain, the slowest of the 4 to kill, but it's not going to change much of anything. Palafox going to mark Soligo. maybe attack the ward, but now the squad is coming around, so it turns out that maybe they don't get it. They have taken said OP Johnson right back into the team. Big damage right now. The second dunk coming around, they're still fighting for it now. That is going to be Johnson falling. Dardoch finds a double kill. The Rumble just showing up and winning the fights by himself.
Oh, I mean, the farm advantage showing through. Dardoch hit 6 before he came down. Jose Diota is still 5. You take that fight, and he got the perfect equalizer across everyone. They get all the kills, they'll get the dragon, and this game feels like it's getting out of control very fast here for FlyQuest. Quite behind in the early stages. You can see this one more time. Sligo knows that it's going on. He's just kind of fishing around here as Dardoch arrives. He has the equalizer, going straight on in, clapping multiple members together there. Really nice equalizer. He gets the overheat, roasting him up.
Yeah. And honestly, it felt like Palafox just sort of wasted his own ult. Like, what do you care about no item set in the middle of your team? He's not doing anything else. He already burned the ulti. You actually saw Rumble go down to about a third. Like, target selection could have changed that fight a little bit. It probably still goes Dignitas' way. But regardless, hey, we talked about it in the pregame. Imagine Dignitas with a good early game, and here it is. And, you know, based on track record, this means they just walk over their opponents because the mid games have already been so good, even with deficits.
I mean, I think especially given the compositions, you're going to be looking already to kind of heroics. You're looking towards playmaking from the side of FlyQuest. It's got to be the kick in on someone. You got to be making things happen. But Cleanse Ezreal is difficult to actually get onto and take out. And if Neo is untouched, even if you get someone like the Jace, you know, there's a lot of potential punish there from the side of Dignitas. And as we start to see the armor getting built up, it's going to get problematic. Of course, Dignitas isn't stacking any armor just yet, so there is still time for FlyQuest, but they've got to make something happen.
Pretty good damage here. Faker trying to set up Licorice, who's down to 300 health, has to ult to get away, but the equalizer's right on top, and he's got nowhere to go in time. Dardoch just collects the kill. Thank you very much. 4-0 on the Rumble jungle.
He's got all the kills here for Dignitas, taking over this one. Licorice maybe not realizing that the Rumble was there, probably would have needed to just use the ult immediately to disengage to stay healthier for that potential ult coming through. But now on the bot side, look for that engage.
Pretty good damage. Johnson did have turret aggro a little bit. Took an auto or maybe two as they try to shoot back now. After at 300 health, chugs a potion, but be careful. Okay, stun's going to be only a slow. They want to block the Qs. Good play backwards and jump in for Ezreal. The snipe going to come across, traded 1-for-1, but now Neo, his days are numbered. I'm sorry, you are not the one. Taking down Jose Diota, Agent Smith.
He's even got that skin. I don't know if he's playing him, but it would have been perfect. All right, Licorice up on the top side here. We'll be able to clear out the wave. Nice little battle back there from FlyQuest, getting a couple kills. Unfortunately, none of them do go on Johnson, and he does end up going down. Palafox here trying to roam up, trying to answer this constant pressure. Licorice has been attacked pretty much from the word go. They didn't ban out the Jace to protect him in this matchup. And he has been feeling the hurt here. We can watch this one more time. The Flay did not come through on the initial engage there from Dreams, but a lot of damage was landed with the 3 passive stacks up there from Johnson. He hits the piercing arrow. They sidestep onto the Leona ultimate. Jose Diota is coming through. This time the Flay was there, but Neo flashing forward, finishing him off. Does mean he will eventually go down to Jose Diota, but at the very least, he got a kill for himself. The opposing Varus did not get a kill. So the gold is going to be very equal between these two marksmen, despite the fact that Jose Diota, you know, gets that kill for them, and Johnson's going to be up a lot of farm.
So 120 CS going to feel pretty good. Obviously, we are seeing the lethality build come out from Johnson, right? We're expecting Prowler's Claw to be the build. That is the common one.
It's actually going to be just tank Xin Zhao. Interesting. He's going towards the Bomby Cinder here, so at least in solo queue, I have been seeing, you know, kind of more aggressive options, more of the skirmishy style options.
Yeah, clip your shield bow usually.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, I've seen shield bow, I've even seen some Divine Sunderer. This is something that I haven't seen as much, so we'll be playing more of a utility role. It may just be that he's like, hey, I'm not snowballing the game. I've got to kind of go back and just make sure I'm worth something. As Dardoch is extremely strong, but I mean, Dardoch is here. He's up 2 levels. He has equalizers.
All right,
go
next
bad.
try. How good's the engage going to look? Equalizer over the top. They've just locked down poor Dreams. He's not tanky enough, and it's time for Fake. Got to show up as well. Flashes in, doesn't find much. A quick root is going to lock out the rest of the squad. They got to disengage for that one, but it doesn't mean a whole lot else. I think we tried some heroics. Jose Diota wanted to go for an ulti to maybe knock him in. Doesn't find much more with that one. Still, though, 1-0, a great start. And now with the Herald Summit, it's going to be even more gold to Dignitas.
Yep, and they can't really even get a punish. Licorice is actually going to TP down here, but I don't think they're going to be able to get anything from it, and Dardoch just read the play. Okay, well.
Goes for the kick, going to find a lot of CC. Dardoch gets the stopwatch, though, buys a lot of time. Is the re-engage going to be any good? This time it's actually pretty relevant, and just gets kicked right back out. The shield is on. Goodbye, Jose Diodo. Flashes, but Set is here, flexes for good measure, poses for the world, and then punch them to get the kill. No problem there. Palafox does even have a good way in. He's going to go for the suplex, pushes in one, Soligo gets the shield, though, and it just means nothing. They've got not enough damage. The arrow's solid, it lands, but they're too healthy.
Yeah, Dignitas has 3 members of very low health, but FlyQuest unable to get anything there. Bad goes to worse. Dardoch just had the perfect read on the play, right? You just attack bot lane. You know bot lane has no sums. You know that this is the one place on the map where FlyQuest are maybe feeling strong, so he just goes, he sits there, he has the Rift Herald to drop even if no one shows up, and when they do, it was always going to be doomed there for FlyQuest. The easy equalizer coming through, getting them the first kill. They get the Rift Herald plates as well. And this is that follow-up play here. Dardoch playing very kind of cocky in this situation because he has the stopwatch. And he's feeling that he can maybe even bait in more. Jose Diodo trying to escape, but Licorice goes down. The counter TP arrives from Soligo. He goes in. Yes, the clap was sidestepped there by Jose Diodo, but no way out for him. And Dignitas just getting further and further ahead.
Don't do enough damage. Honestly, Soligo himself is just too tanky. You're not doing any real damage out of Palafox's stolen ultimates right now. He definitely needs a better target, but now we look at the next attempt right here. Just out of the range of the turret. Knock down the waves. We know it's going to push. 4v1. Fake God, your days are numbered, so he goes in for the engage to go fight Licorice. Says, if you want to chase me down, go through my turret. So they do. Q's going to land. Ezreal, yeah, you can't chase this one anymore, Lee Sin. And now Fake God plays it right. He plays it right. He goes through the team. He's going to find Johnson. That could be a little bit scary. Is it going to be enough damage? Varus gets a big snipe, but he's going to be stunned up and hit back. The cleanse comes across, and they knock him down. Rocket Belt finds the kill. He's unstoppable. Fake God did everything he could and makes it a 1-for-1.
Nicely done. They do at least get the 1-for-1. Dardoch does not decide to commit forward into that. Doesn't want to drop the... Dardoch is cracked as he is, Jack. True. All right. Just going for the counter jungle now. And I mean, Jose Diodo is kind of falling further and further behind. You know, Dardoch closing in on a 3-level lead. Licorice going for a play, but will they have the follow-up?
They might not. They're going to have him dying, though. He's going to fall. No low up. But now the re-engage means they're just dead again. Yep, they're getting chased down. He's got to flay backward, but the flash stun is there. A double kill. Dardoch's on, I think, 6 or 7 kills at this point. Really cannot be stopped.
Oh, my God. Dardoch is just completely taking over this game. I want to see the Dark Seal, you know, get upgraded at this point. Give me the Mage Eyes. He's got 10 stacks already. The worst part about it is the composition doesn't even really matter at this point because they haven't even built up the armor. That's going to be coming later, and it's just going to get even worse. I mean, FlyQuest knows they're insanely behind. It's kind of you're just going for desperate plays, right? You're hoping that he's by himself. You're hoping that he can get a pick.
Yep.
He is not, so Licorice just dies instantly. Palafox goes down right after it. This game is well and truly out of control here. FlyQuest got about a snowball's chance in hell of winning this one.
It's tough. Scoreboard 1-2-3. Sadly, it's 12-3. That's
Mage Eyes, let's go, Dardoch. I never doubted you.
That's good. He's looking good. He's looking good. He carried on the Lee Sin. He's carrying on the Rumble. So far, so great for Dardoch. He's missed out on 1 participation. Sad it's only 11 out of 12, but
underperforming.
Yeah, wow. Just oof. Tragic down there, but the Mythics are coming through. Divine Thunder, of course, done for the Ezreal. Stride Breaker's in for Soligo Set. Eclipse in for the Jace. Yeah, looking good pretty much everywhere. Time for the second Herald. The first one, I believe, crashed in the bottom lane a while ago. This time around, they're going to go ahead and knock down another turret. Top lane in shambles. Mid lane a bit healthy, but do the rest of that damage before too long.
Yeah, there's just no way for FlyQuest to contest anything that's close to an even fight. At this point, you're hoping for like 4v2s, 3v1s. If it's not that, you can't fight. So Palafox going to steal away the ult, clear out the wave. But they still have the Rift Herald, so they can knock that down if they do one. And even on the other side, you know, Licorice is so far behind at this point of the game. Already has 4 deaths. He's been picked on start to finish.
Yep.
Yes, Jose Diodo has his Mythic, but he's the only one on the team that actually has a completed Mythic at this point in the game. So it's looking rough.
That is rough. And they were clapping bot lane, but it's not going to matter now. Pushed into the wall. Dardoch claims the kill. Add 4 pages of the book.
14, let's go. He's closing in. Continues to grab more names to write into the book here. Licorice up towards that top side, but Dardoch is around. No chance to get anything done there. Jose Diodo may look for a play here, but cleanse flash, and it's Ezreal. Unless he shifts forward, not much of a chance happening.
Not going to let the W. Good arcane shift by Neo, then sidesteps the skill shot. Slowed this time, but there we go. All right, finds up the Naka, but not much more. Good flash gets away, and he needs that lantern. Stays alive. Afro goes in for a ride, but able to walk away easily enough.
Force the flash, small victory there, but you're down 6K at this point. Dignitas has been running this game. They've got the dragons. Just look at the jungle gold lead. I mean, that is honestly insane. 3,200 gold ahead at this point for Dardoch. He is so ridiculously rich.
He's half the gold lead. And that doesn't count the absurd efficiency of a 14-stack Magi's. Like, in stats, it's more like 4K, and it's like, yeah, this is...
the level lead.
Yeah, this is a high-resolution Rumble. It's looking really good.
High resolution?
Yeah, he's the 4K
He's caught in 4K?
Lead. Yeah, yeah. Maybe, who knows, you know? You need all those pixels, all the glory to see how much you were just clapping FlyQuest right now.
Okay, so if you're behind, are you less pixels? Is it like a 180p?
You're the, like, you know, 1 bar of cell reception, like, you know, loading up YouTube. Like, I can, it's a head somewhere. Okay, yeah.
It's a disaster.
A yellow team is against a green team, and I got nothing else. I don't know. I might as well just join the audio cast, which, I mean, those guys are doing a fine time over there, so.
All right, well. Zhonya's done now for Dardoch too, so it gets even harder to take him down. Second items are going to be coming through here pretty quick for Dignitas. They'll crack this last outer. They already got the one in top. They got the one in bot. Add the one here in mid now as well. Just about 7,000 gold at this point, and Dardoch is just running this game. They'll go right down towards the dragon. No chance of contesting this. So for FlyQuest, it's a hope and a prayer, and you look towards probably Soul, you look towards probably Baron, you don't contest anything besides that, and you just pray that you find a miracle hook, a miracle kick, something that can get you a quick kill to maybe turn it around, because barring that, and honestly that like 5 times in a row, this game is over.
Yeah, because every you know, kill you get, all right, it's, you know, baseline 450, 300 for the kill, 150 for the assist, and then, okay, can you add up any more? It's, you know, plus 700 for the shutdown, okay, so 1150 if you kill Dardoch. It's, you know, 600 if you kill off Soligo. It's 600 if you kill off Neo. Okay, hey, you get all 3 of those? All right, you've got like a third of the gold lead back. Cool, but now they're back to 450 if you kill them again. So can you get a turret off that as well? Well, no, because the waves are all pushed in. Like, look where all the minion waves are. They're all past the river. They're all on FlyQuest's side. So you kill one off, and you're like, well, we pushed the wave up to the turret, but and we got to go spend our gold because we need to catch up on items.
And now we're kind of getting close to the point of the game where the armor is going to start coming through, where it's going to get even more difficult for them to actually burst people down. You know, Neo, we'll see if he does go for the Frozen Heart with the cloth armor picked up there. It's likely going to be the 3rd purchase here for him. Just going on to the mana. More CDR, going to be difficult to burst down. The locket has come through as well for Afro, so that's going to make it even harder to burst them down as well. And things going to be getting really, really tough here. Probably Sterrick 2nd or something for Soligo, and then I would expect him to grab some armor, but might not even need it because the game could just be done by that point.
Yeah, true. Well, let's see. Jump over the wall, get rid of the wards. Dignitas can now start playing the Baron bait. And I got to point out, I know any long-time League fans out there, Dig Baron has been a meme for a while as very poor. I will say, though, in 2021, they have flipped the script. Dig Barons are often outstanding. They get so much done, oftentimes these mid to late game situations, and that is a Thresh spotted by a Rumble, spotted by a Leona, and you're just dead. You're just getting burned down. The stun is enough. Sidestep Solar Flare, but has to flash out his own jungle. Jose Diodo owns no part of this map.
Yeah, they can't get anywhere. And when you're this far behind, the support often suffers as far as the experience. When you're walking in, you're 4 or 5 levels down. It is really tough to face check that. And it's straight onto the Baron now. They already forced the flash from Jose Diodo, so he doesn't necessarily have an easy way into the pit. We'll see if he can get a W, E over the wall, and then maybe get some sort of a miracle steal, because that's kind of what you're looking for.
Bit of vision. Palafox grabs Rumble ulti, pops it to go for the damage inside the pit. Gets dunked right back in. That's a kill picked up right now for Dignitas. But what about the chance of a spite steal? Jose Diodo can always W the Baron and then E to it. Flash is not needed, but if he's dead, he can't steal a Baron. Has to pop the ult to get away, and Dig just goes for the kills instead. Dig Baron is going to find themselves 2-1. They get the Baron at the end because they kept Dardoch in the pit and made sure it happened. 16-4 in kills. Red Bull Baron picked up. Dignitas all the way through.
Really nicely done there by Dig. Make no doubt about it. They don't allow Jose Dioto to have any chance of getting in the pit here. Soligo fighting on the other side, pushing Licorice out, and then Fake God just kind of gets in there. Palafox goes in with the stolen Rumble Equalizer, but it's only really on Dardoch, and he has the zone use available, so it wasn't that effective. And then from this point, they just got to make sure that there's no chance of a steal, so they're piling over the wall. Neo goes in, Fake God goes in, Afro goes in. They do lose their support, but at the end of the day, who cares? You got a couple kills of your own. You got the Thresh kill to start that. You took down the Baron. Now you have everything that you need to really close out this game because it's a 9,000 gold lead. You're on Soul Point. They are doing so well.
All right, question is now, Dignitas, how much do you get before you turn around and just claim the Dragon just to check it off the checklist at this point? Top lane under fire, only 2 minions means they probably don't get the entire turret unless they want to tank up a couple of shots to make it happen. Ezel for some wave clear and spotting defenders. They see that there are none. Put in a bit of damage, but they're not trying too hard, right? Other champions aren't hitting it just yet. Wait for the next wave. Now it's there. They know it's going to be there. It's okay. Turret number 1 claimed. Check that one off the list. Okay. Turret score is 5. Next up, all right, bit of damage elsewhere. We get a Silas split pushing. Going to find FlyQuest's first turret of the game. So they get 1 objective now on their side of the map. Licorice obviously can't fight Soligo. Now it's time for the inhibitor turret. Now to some of this, FlyQuest kind of have to give these away. You're probably never defending those turrets anyway, so why even bother? Get
they want the
done.
Nexus.
But yes, the Nexus is the play. Equalizer comes in, decent damage, but Johnson's going to stay alive, and now the real defense begins. And it's enough to just say, okay, we will in fact keep our Nexus. That's not going to do much more.
Ooh, Licorice. Does he look for the hero play here? Maybe some sort of a kick, but not going to be able to find the angle. Is spotted out, pushed back, and
Soligo's pushing mid.
Yeah,
Perfect.
Soligo's already pushing mid, so they're going to be able to just come over here and look for this next inhibitor. And you can see how quick the Equalizer cooldown is. It's already more than half the way done, right? So by the time they're actually threatening for this inhibitor, Dardoch might have it back, and then you just drop it one more
time.
time.
Hook. This might be the attempt. Zonia's going to be popped. Equalizer over the top. Can they take the fight? A snipe comes in, but he's just a little bit too far ahead. There isn't enough gold. A flash to safety. That stun probably would have killed him, so a good defensive flash. But it does mean the siege can finally be stopped. Enough damage out of the jungler means they lose top inhibitor, but they do not lose the mid inhib.
I think they're going to keep going. I mean, Dardoch's just going to heal up off a camp here, use his smite to heal. He's back to full, basically, and he has Equalizer again. So now you just walk up, you drop the long-range Equalizer, you push for this mid inhib here, and try to kind of secure game-ending damage, potentially.
Jose Dioto down to about 1/4 HP. They still have not yet gotten the turret itself. Equalizer not going to be cast just yet. They get the first stun. Ulti in for Singe out. Fake God finds a kill. It's traded back, though. Top laner's dead. Palafox flashes after Azonius. True Shot Barrage not going to kill. And as Baron times out, indeed, FlyQuest do defend the mid lane. But only for now, because Dignitas don't care about Dragon. They want to take the base. They're going to knock down this turret. Johnson forced to flash away. Soligo still on the chase, flashes in for a small stun, and it's enough damage for Neo to claim it. So they're ready to keep on going. Dragon Soul not required just yet. Claim the inhibitor instead.
They got a little bit greedy. Dardoch was trying to go to the Dragon as they were trying to go for the mid inhib, and FlyQuest does get a couple kills back. Palafox with the very long distance TP here.
He wants to find someone greedy. The sweeper is pretty intricately timed, but it's enough to find 1,000 gold shutdown. Leon ult means pretty much nothing. Aphromoo gonna have a friend coming around as Soligo shows up. Palafox with a big heal, and now he's got reinforcements. Lee Sin has rejoined the fight. So is it going to be enough? Big shield for Soligo, and now the stun's gonna miss yet again. Palafox still in the mix, has plenty of mana, but he's gonna start running away. Aphromoo a bit low, but he is not the ideal target. Palafox gets a shield, jumps back to his squad, but one punch will kill him. Man doesn't quite get it. Sidesteps, Dreams runs away, but Neo's gonna take him down and turn him into nightmares. Palafox gonna dodge away, will not be shock blasted to death, but at the end of the day, it is still only the 1 kill for FlyQuest, and the Dragon will still go the way of Dignitas.
Yeah, some heroics coming through there from Palafox, but at a certain point, you're just too far behind. Smack him over the head with the wallet. Dignitas fight their way out of this one anyway. I really like the attempt here from Palafox. You gotta go for the desperation plays. They knew that there was no flash on Dardoch and he had no Zonias. They forced that in the mid lane, so he can just straight up burst him. He gets the 1K shutdown. Aphromoo very, very tanky here, so not able to quite get that kill on him, but Palafox with this W, just continuously healing back up, surviving through the whole play. They just don't have enough damage, unfortunately, to really push through and get the kills because Varus is dead, your jungler's not there, so you don't really have the full squad, and despite the fact that Palafox is able to survive, the Qs don't land, the nice sidestep on the Ezreal ulti as well. Still, it is just the 1K going over to Palafox. Soul goes the way of Dignitas, and 2 inhibitors are still down, so it is incredibly hard for them to get anything done.
It is limited wave clear, just defending 2 inhibitors. But right now, Dignitas making sure they're not going just one way with the farm. It's Dardoch pushing in top to make sure it's not just losing that golden XP to his own wave, to make sure he gets his share. And then FlyQuest can knock the stuff to the side. Bot lane fight between Licorice and Fake God. Licorice down a level, but still feels comfortable enough to try to put in some pressure. So the 4-on-4 is what happens instead. And Palafox once again grabs Equalizer with almost as much AP as Rumble has, but not as much, honestly. Dardoch certainly more lethal. Equal level, that feels good as well for a jungler to keep up with a mid laner so long. Obviously, he's been a huge factor this game. Highest level on his team. Finally, Fake God reaches 15 as well. And now we wait for the next bit of the push. But honestly, without Baron buff, minions are clearable. Licorice having to play a bit more defensively on the wave clear side. Like, bot is being pushed in, but still able to get rid of the minions. And as this all ticks down, no more gains. Yeah,
it's going to be a play towards Baron. The one thing that they did accomplish is they kept FlyQuest wrapped up in their base for so long. You take away the jungle camps, you retreat over towards the Baron, and you know that there shouldn't be as much vision. Of course, there is a pink in the pit. That is the last ward that's just kind of getting cleared out now, and they're already on this Baron. We'll see how quickly it goes down, and more importantly, how quickly FlyQuest are willing to face check. I think because they're so far behind, they just know that they've got to go look for it, but they are lining up for the Equalizer.
And here we go. First engage comes across. Equalizer not too bad. Palafox kites away. Big Equalizer going back on a Dignitas. Nearly the snipe to kill after him, but he's going to stay alive. That hook could be big, though. They get damaged, but Soligo, he's still very tanky. They pop the Sterix shield. And the fact that FlyQuest can at least disengage without dying and trading cooldowns, that's not a horrible look. The problem is, though, Dignitas can keep finding pressure elsewhere.
Absolutely, and Neo is so threatening in these fights. Varus ult was expended. They are going to be TPing back in. Here comes Palafox. We'll see if they can find the fight. Without the stolen Equalizer, it feels almost more important, ironically, for FlyQuest, because they just don't seem to have enough damage to actually push through these fights without it. You know, Varus is not being a threat to these beefy frontliners, and Palafox with kind of the counter Equalizers has been such a big part of keeping FlyQuest alive in this game. But again, Dignitas right back to the pit. They want to keep threatening. They want to pull FlyQuest into fights more often than they're really able to take them.
And TP right over the top with Equalizer there. How good are the stuns going to be? Atlantic gets one to safety, but the suplex backwards means it's lights out for Jose Diodo. A rampage for Neo in the chase on a Johnson. A great cleanse, but it's not going to be enough. Neo finds a double. Fake God gets the third. Licorice catches part of the wave, but it's too tanky. He's got to run away. Dardoch's on the chase. Going to go back to fighting the top laner, and now it's time to end the game. 2 cannot defend against 5. I've seen this before. Every Dignitas game, it's always the 5 who do it better. Dignitas going to find themselves their 13th win, the second most in the LCS so far. Congratulations, Dignitas yet again on top.
Looking good. Starting off summer, they had a hot start in spring. They're having a pretty hot start here in summer. Of course, we will have to see, can they maintain this pace as they start to really face off against some of these difficult teams. But the early game, fantastic from Dignitas. I like the look from them. Soligo really was effective on the set. That early roam towards the top side set the pace of the game.
Yeah.
The fact that the Jace was left open, not only is it one of Fake God's best champions, but it's one of the best lane matchups into the Lee Sin. So you draft for pressure in the top lane, you draft for pressure in the mid lane with your set, you roam up towards the top side, Dardoch is there, 3-man dive, Licorice was never a factor in this one. Dignitas looking really good in the early minutes, and then Dardoch was just going crazy.
Yeah, and this is unprompted, but I want to bring it up because I think it's actually really valuable. This is the kind of stuff where if you're really interested in getting better, this is what ProView is actually useful at. Go look at how he manicured the first, 5, maybe 6 waves to set up the giant crash top side to line up for when your jungler has done 6 camps, ready to go top, your mid laner pushes, goes to the brush like a recall, but goes top. Like, those orchestrated plays, like, that is a good setup. And that's the kind of thing you're like, hey, we first pick Rumble, they're going to take Lee, we've got the counter, and by the way, there's a planned play. Not every game's going to look like this, but if you've got priority in mid, and you already know you have priority in top because of the matchup, you just clear bottom to the top, and you make the dive happen. And you play the wave right because you have lane control, and here you go.
And the thing that's so good about plays like this is I always like to talk about risk versus reward in League of Legends. There was very little risk. If you get up there and Jose Diodo is there, you just back off. They did not roam from mid on a wave that was pushing towards them. They had a fully pushed in wave. Dardoch did a full clear. Like there was really very little cost to looking for the play. And then when it's there, the game can essentially be just so tough from FlyQuest side from that
Yeah.
point, because now you're behind. You can't even threaten an all-in on the Jace's Lee Sin post 6. So what are you supposed to do?
Yeah, we'll get behind on the Lee Sin ultimately, and didn't have much else to do for him. So beautifully done. Of course, then side 2 wins so far to start at the Summer Split. Now I'm going to check in with Pastry Time and Dardoch for the Verizon postgame interview.
Thank you so much, Rick. I'm indeed here with Dardoch. That was quite the performance on Rumble Jungle. Did you even expect to get the champion, honestly?
No, actually. Our top laner, Aaron, Fake God, he loves Rumble, and I was asking for Rumble backstage when I was watching the previous game. Svenskeren was playing it, and I really wanted to play Rumble today. I just had a feeling I was going to do well on him, and Aaron's just, nah, I'm taking Rumble, bro. So I didn't actually think I was going to get it today, but the draft played out in that favor, so we took Rumble Jungle.
For sure, and we're actually kind of generating a pretty fun and healthy debate, I'd say, here. Who is the best Rumble Jungle in North America? Where would you put yourself kind of among the Rumble players here?
I'm definitely one of the best as far as jungle goes. I don't think any Rumble jungle players can touch some of the great Rumble laners, like Huni, for example. I think Huni's going to be a cut above the rest as far as Rumble gameplay goes. But as far as junglers go, I think me and Xerxes are probably some of the better Rumble players. And for the rest, let's just say I haven't really been impressed by other players on Rumble so far.
I get that. And then kind of in the game more specifically, I know one of the things that's been important, and I heard this from Saligo yesterday, is trying to get the newer, younger players in the team to communicate a little bit more. Now, obviously, this mid-jungle matchup is one that's very reliant on communication. How are the comms in this game between you and Saligo?
Pretty much every time Max has a timer that he wants to fight on, he's just going to say, yo, Josh, can you come around mid? And if it's good for me, we go for it. If not, then we communicate a way to work around it. But Max has, we do have to work on our communication a bit, more so as a team as a whole, but I think Max has really stepped up, especially now that we are playing games on stage, to kind of communicate his part more.
For sure. And then last one, I feel like this is a meta where teams are definitely still figuring things out. How do you and the team feel like they're figuring things out? Because, going from Lee Sin jungle yesterday, which is not very popular, to Rumble jungle today, which is very popular, to me, it seems like Dignitas has a pretty good grasp on the meta. So what do you think of that?
I wouldn't say we have a very firm grasp on the meta. It's more so, I think our coach helped us in a lot of ways, kind of rearing our mentality more towards just focus on ourselves and what we think our strength is, rather than try to figure out all the answers to, realistically a ton of new champions and a ton of new draft options that really weren't present in spring. So I guess nowadays we just kind of focused on what was good for this week, because to be honest, I don't think anybody has a very firm grasp on what's best in every role, especially with all the new champs coming around.
And then given the flexibility that you especially have shown in this year, as far as the different champions you can play, are you confident in your ability, as the game shifts like it always does, to be able to pull out different picks and still stay on top of that stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
I'm very confident in the ability that I have in terms of champion pool, so I'm never going to back down from learning new champs or expanding my champion pool. I think that's a huge strength that every player should strive to have, and you should have total mastery of the game, and that's what I strive to do every day.
Definitely showed today. Josh, thank you so much for talking to me. It's been great.
No worries.
All right, with that, we are going to go to a break, but don't go too far away. There is more LCS coming right up.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Cloud9 and 100 Thieves will be facing off in just a few minutes. Both teams looking to claim their first win here in summer. And Emily, I cannot help but wonder how much time these teams need to adjust to their new players.
So I saw some stuff on Twitter yesterday. As soon as they locked in the Karma for Abadage, there's like, why are you putting him on Karma? I think Karma mid, obviously, we've already talked about the laning prowess that Karma gives you. However, here is a cursory look at Abadage's champ pool.
I don't see Karma.
Our statistician Chloe was digging. She could not find Karma either. He's obviously a great control mage player, but you see the Akali, you see the Zoe in there. He can also play these kind of champions that can get into a team fight. Assassins, the mid lane champ pool, just generally, we are seeing it start to open up in this meta. And I would like to see him on something that's not just like, okay, obviously we want lane dominance and shields and stuff like that later on in team fights.
Yeah, and it wasn't like a crazy comp for the Karma where there's this like obvious protect target for you. I mean,
Yeah.
we've seen that Ezreal can run wild and like buffing him up is nice, but it was definitely one of those games where it just felt like he couldn't do anything. There was the one team fight he had 60 damage in that everyone was memeing about. It was rough, and you know that was literally his first pro game on the champion. So not what fans were looking for, and I think that's hopefully a way that you can maybe wash some of the bad taste from that game out of your mouth for the first game of the split, is be like, okay, well, let's go see him on those other champs now.
Has anybody ever told you that first impressions mean a lot, Mark? Because
Oh, no.
this is what we're like, Abadage's here. All right, first impression, first time Karma.
Speaking about first impressions, though, if we're looking at the mid laner on the opposite side, do you remember how Perks came into the beginning of this season and maybe brushed off some of his first impression for a bit? But we did get to see a first pick of Viego for him actually just yesterday.
Yeah, this was one of the things. I know there was a lot of doom and gloom for the Cloud9 side after day number 1. But if you are trying to look at the positives of the team returning from MSI, changing AD carry role, I thought one of the cool things is that they actually, even after talking about only having 3 days of scrims after taking the break, on the new meta, they didn't shy away from any of the new stuff. They weren't like, okay, well, let's pick whatever. They went right into Viego. All right, Viego's enabled. Sweet, let's get it. Put it in Perks' hands. Let's see what happened. He even went with the full tank build, which actually was working out for them for the majority of this game. People remember the loss, but they don't necessarily remember how well Golden Guardians had to play against Cloud9 because C9 were effectively utilizing a lot of these picks. Blabber on the Rumble did have some mistakes, but he was providing the AP threat from the jungle that they needed with the Lee Sin and Viego, and they had this big lead and a lot of control for Cloud9 for the majority of the game until the Zoe snipes and those perfect bubbles started to come through. So I think at least for the Cloud9 side, they did try and embrace the new meta and jump right into it.
Yeah, and I think Fudge had a good performance as well as someone to look to, like, hey, he's continuing to play well. We saw the Lee Sin pop off for him at MSI, brought it, back home to North America. Still looked really clean on it. I think, the way that they struggled to close that game out, because they had multiple inhibs down. They got forced out of Golden Guardians base. They easily could have won that game. It's just, they only have 3 days of practice on these new patches. They have a little bit of MSI hangover, and I expect them to bounce.
They had their excuses submitted before the match.
Yeah,
Hey, they got their homework done early.
They prepared us, right? They set expectations.
Yeah, I heard Fudge talking on Hotline League, kind of setting that nice and early on in the week. But when we see those different roster changes happening in other parts of the actual map, it is good to have some of that growth continue to happen in the top lane with Fudge here. But we do want to talk a bit more about the bot lane. There's a very exciting matchup happening. It's OCE all across the place, my friends. And King is taking off against FBI for the first time.
Yeah, FBI had some heavy ankle weights on that first game. He was doing a lot of damage on that Ezreal that we talked about. And it's just really cool to see how many Oceanic AD carries have made it into North America now. There's 4 of them in total, and they all have history against each other. And in some ways, the power rankings of these players, how it was domestically when it was in the OPL versus now, has changed. You know, people like King were on top, and now it's FBI who has become arguably, in my opinion, the best AD carry in all of North America. And it's a lot of these other players that he was going up against being like, wait a minute, I was better than you in the OPL 2 years ago. Like, I'm gonna try and take you down, which is why it's so cool to see King up against him.
Yeah, I love the argument because, like, it's been getting more and more lopsided towards FBI's side.
Yeah.
And so there's so much pressure on King because not only is he replacing Sven, you know, one of the best players and one of the players that was contesting FBI up at the very top of the rankings, but now he actually has to go against him.
Well, yeah, and I think it's important to look at the loss from C9 yesterday, right? Because it's not like it was a team loss. It wasn't like we were seeing King completely uncoordinated from the team. I actually thought he played really well in a lot of these things, and it was just a few C9 mistakes. And then, as you said, Kobe, the Ablaze off Zoe, they kind of came to fruition in some of these fights. But I thought King performed well yesterday. I've seen him in Academy. He's been absolutely insane. So I'm really looking forward to him continuing to grow with C9.
And that's one thing that you do have to consider, that there is still some growth to be had from King on the C9 side. But you're all just talking about how strong FBI is, right? Having kind of that stapled as potentially the best bot laner that we see here. How much does that affect the way that C9 are going to have to continue developing King on this roster, knowing 100 Thieves are going to be bringing a lot of power to that bot lane, though?
Yeah, I mean, it is focus on Cloud9, on themselves, because they're the ones that made this change, and especially with it being followed up, you know, Alfari news as well. There's a lot of scrutiny going on, you know, for these high-powered imports getting benched. But honestly, I don't think they're going to react very quickly. If you listen to the interview that Fudge and Max Waldo did with Monte Cristo, they actually were saying they think that King has a high chance of staying in all of summer. So you got to work through these kinks. You got to start building that synergy, you know, right off the bat.
Well, and when you're looking at that future, though, and the fact that he might be staying in all summer, and we have to consider the fact that things are carrying over from the previous record, that adjustment time does become a bit more limited for these teams.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's where I kind of want to return to Abadage and Closer, actually, because, you know, but for people that don't know, they know each other really well. They're close friends. I talked to Closer prior to the season start, and he was so excited to be able to play with Abadage. So hopefully they get maybe put him on some champions, a little bit more agency, be able to show off some mid-jungle synergy from this team, because I also think, you know, we talked about how well King can do with C9. I think Abadage and Closer can do really, really well for 100 Thieves.
And we will be finding out soon enough how they will be performing for 100 Thieves on that side. Which bot laner is going to be coming out on top in this particular matchup? We'll find out right after the break.